How do people get caught cheating? Find messages on your phone, lipstick on your shirt, or someone else's item in the glove compartment. Unfortunately, my story is not so banal, and it completely ruined my life. On the May holidays, my husband and I quarreled. He went to rest with friends, I'm at a corporate party. Residue from a quarrel, lack of attention, led me to the company of two charming men. If I had known how this acquaintance would end, I would have stayed at home. After the corporate party, we decided to continue the banquet at my place. Once in a more intimate setting, communication moved to a horizontal plane. The men were tender and passionate. Their touch turned my head. In the morning, I fondly recalled the events of the night and thought that this would remain a wonderful memory. But no. After returning home, my husband locked himself in the bedroom, and after 5 minutes I heard something hit the wall. He flew out with wild eyes. He grabbed my neck and dragged me to the laptop. On the screen, I saw the events of a passionate night. He was furious. Insults. Picking up things. Tears of children who had already returned to that moment from their grandmother. And his phrase, "Everyone will know about it by evening." I began to receive calls from friends, colleagues, relatives. Everyone he knew and could find on social networks received this video. They put the stigma of a fallen woman on me, and ahead of me were 3 months of sidelong glances, jokes, conversation behind my back. And some men began to allow themselves to dissolve their hands. My parents abandoned me, the children stayed with their father. Literally everyone turned away from me. And everything that was so dear to me, I destroyed in just one night. It all started 5 years ago. I fell in love with my man at first sight. She lost her head from the first sex and until recently remained faithful. But his friend. I knew for a long time that he was in love with me. We communicated very well. They trusted each other secretly. Often called up and remained alone. Deep down, I envied his future girlfriend. He is sensitive, attentive, caring, understanding. He gathered in himself the best qualities that I wanted to see in a man. As you can imagine, my man is not like that. We often quarreled, parted, converged. At some point, I could not stand it and went to his friend. Then everything happened. A couple of bottles of champagne and a wild resentment did their job. We slept. You can't call it drunk sex. I was aware of what I was doing and what it could lead to. We talked with a friend and decided to leave things as they are. Now our sex is regular. My man doesn't suspect a thing. The worst thing is that I'm not ashamed. Jessie looked at Sean and Kathy with envy. She had been single for a long time, and this couple simply oozed pleasure from each other. They rode in the elevator together, Jessie fiddling with her bag alone while Sean and Kathy pulled each other. If only this trinity knew what lay ahead of them. The guys worked together and often went on business trips, sometimes with each other. This time, Sean left alone. Jessie and Kathy decided to have a bachelorette party, and got pretty drunk on whiskey from his bar. Further in the memory of both emerges very vaguely. Jessie only remembers carrying the fragile Kathy to bed, and then using her hands for the first time in such unexpected caresses. A week later, Sean and Jessie went on a business trip. It seemed strange to Jessie that there were no rooms available in a half-empty provincial hotel. Sean, like a true gentleman, invited her to sit on the bed, and he himself took a place on the floor. But he never got to sleep. Foaming at the mouth, he began to confess his love to Jessie and to say that Kathy's ardent temper was impossible to endure. Jessie, absolutely shocked that Sean had long had tender feelings for her, tried to find words and explain to the man that she knew firsthand about the nature of his wife. But they talked about it later. First, Jessie brought Sean to bed, then to orgasm, and then to the registry office. However, the best sex in his life, even after marriage, Jessie considers the relationship with Katie. Perhaps her hubby feels the same way about himself. How lucky you are, Lily. Friends repeated in one voice. Jason is carrying you in his arms, that's how we would like it. And Lily smiled coldly, because she had recently learned the terrible truth and did not know how to tell her friends about it. They met by chance, just like in the movies. Lily was sitting with a friend in a cafe. Jason, who worked as a collector, came to this cafe to pick up the day's earnings. Their eyes met and both seemed paralyzed. It wasn't a spark, it was a powerful discharge. "I think I'm in love," immediately said Lily to a friend. "Oh, Lily, you want everything to be like in the movies," she grinned in response. But, surprisingly, that's how it all started. Jason approached Lily, asked for her phone number and promised to call her. He said a lot of compliments and disappeared. For 3 days. All these 3 days Lily waited for the call and remembered Jason's eyes. His gaze made her heart sink. Finally he wrote. He said that there were some problems at work, but he settled everything and is ready to meet. After 2 days of correspondence, they met. A romantic walk, a flower from a flowerbed, an endless stream of compliments, passionate kisses. The next day, a similar story. Then he disappeared again. For 3 days. He appeared, as if nothing had happened, telling about the terrible situation at his relatives. Then this scenario was repeated, but Lily didn't notice anything except Jason's eyes, driving her crazy. So 6 months passed. Jason periodically disappeared, telling new stories each time. Then he was fired from his job. And the stories didn't end. Lily listened attentively and tried to help in every possible way. Jason, reluctantly, borrowed money to repair the car, because he was terribly uncomfortable. Then it was necessary for my brother to take medicines, but it's inconvenient to take them again, because I haven't given them yet. Finally he found a job. But she is visiting, that is, they will be able to see each other only 3 days a week, such is the schedule. Sunday is always a working day. Lily continued to listen to Jason's stories and collected bags of food for him to work, borrowed for travel, for communication, for cigarettes, and so on. When Jason introduced Lily to his mom, the relationship is serious, as are his intentions. Lily's first bell rang. "Well, at least now I'll know where he lives," Mom said. "He's like a nomad," she continued, not understanding the surprise on Lily's face. "He doesn't even have his own closet. Look at it, all the things are in bags and bags. He comes back every 2 months, spends the night and disappears again. I see you're a smart girl. Maybe he'll come to his senses with you." After talking with her mom, Lily decided to observe Jason's behavior, because a lot of things remained unclear to her, but intuition already suggested that all his stories were fairy tales. Lily caught Jason on his banal gaffe. She saw him taking pictures of himself in the mirror and sending this photo to someone. Having asked to show to whom and why he was taking a photo, Jason first denied for a long time, and then could not think of anything except, "This is for my sister." Then everything fell into place. Lily's eyes opened. She quickly packed his things into his gym bag and kicked him out of the house. Then it turned out that Jason was actually married, at the stage of divorce, that he was a Sunday dad, and he was spending money from Lily on a child. A couple of days after Jason's departure, an unknown girl wrote to Lily, who somehow guessed that she was also with Jason. The sister of this girl spent almost $300,000 on him. He also told her his stories, similar to the ones he told Lily. And then another naive one turned up, who also helped the storyteller. Only Jason knew how many of them there were. Put a like. Subscribe to the channel so as not to miss new stories.